Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. We'll just give it a few moments to let everyone get connected, and then we'll kick off. I can see lots of people already coming in. That's great. So just before we get started today, I'm going to quickly run through some housekeeping as we're waiting for people to get connected. If you do want to ask any questions today, this is a live session, so you can ask us questions. We love a good question, so please do use the Q&A box. It should be visible on your screen. You literally just click on that, and you can add in any questions there, and we'll try and answer those at the end of today's session. If we don't get to answering any of your questions, we will definitely get back in touch with you via email, either myself or Dan. Okay, I think we can kick off. Dan, people are still joining, but I think we've got a pretty good audience here to get started. All right, welcome to today's webinar with ALLOut Security in partnership with Steltix. And we're going to be talking about how you can fortify JD Edwards, and specifically around your security and risk essentials. Okay, so a quick bit of introductions. Myself, I'm Steph Stiliano, Partnerships and Alliances Director here at ALLOut Security. As I said, if you do have any questions, please do email me after the session today. You can reach me at jdedwards@alloutsecurity.com. I'm joined by my colleague, Dan. Dan, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Daniel Smith from Steltix, Managing Director for Steltix Asia Pacific, and delighted to be talking and showcasing our solutions today. Thanks, Stephanos.
Great. Thanks, Dan. Okay, so let's have a quick look at our agenda for today. So we've got a pretty packed agenda, so bear with us. First part, we'll be talking a little bit about us. You always, start off those webinars with a bit of information about the two companies. So it's always good. If you've never heard of us before, that'll be a great section for you. The next part, we'll be looking at how we can help you. So we'll be asking you, what are your pain points? The third part, we've got a bit of a success story there for you. We'll be sharing with you from a recent implementation. And then part 4, we'll be diving into some of the key takeaways that you should have from today's session around how you can fortify your JD Edwards. And then we'll have a quick wrap up with some questions. The session will last about 45 minutes, and then we should have some time at the end for questions. So yeah, bear with us. You'll see a lot of information today. And if you do have any questions, as I keep saying, please do use the question box. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about us. So ALLOut Security. ALLOut is an add-on tool set for JD Edwards. We are integrated into JDE, and equally, we are split into 4 segments. So the first helps you to report on access and audit changes by providing better visibility into your security data. ALLOut can also help you to create and maintain JD Edwards data, often more efficiently and accurately than the standard JDE tools that you might be familiar with. It also provides you with project tools to help you with security and upgrading projects, so some really useful tools there. And configuration screens, which enable you to activate ALLOut's change control features. So those are particularly useful if you're looking to control changes to your security data in JD Edwards as they're being made. What sets ALLOut apart as a game-changing solution according to our customers? Well, primarily 3 unique benefits. Firstly, how and where it operates. For us, that's within JDE ecosystem as an add-on tool set. We use native JD Edwards tables and concepts. So that's your security, your roles, your menus, all of that is exactly the same. The software is installed directly into your JDE environment. So essentially, an all-out implementation offers a risk-free approach, delivering out-of-the-box functionality. Secondly, there is no need for additional user training as users are already familiar with the system, so it shouldn't be too difficult for you to get up to speed. And thirdly, our modular toolset is totally scalable and cost effective. So customers can define ROI on their own terms, picking modules they need minus complicated lock-ins to suit their unique JD instance and requirements. So it really is a super configurable solution to meet your unique objectives.
So introducing Steltix, for those of you who don't know the Steltix organization. So we've been operating globally for around 23 years. We have circa 800 customers, and we have not just the backing of ALLOut in terms of being a partner globally for their particular solution, but we also have our own solutions that we engineer, develop and support. And one of those we'll be showcasing today in the context of security. And Stephanos, just before we get into the next section, it's probably worthwhile acknowledging that on today's call, there's a real cross section of participants. There's those that have implemented perhaps ALLOut security several years ago. There's those that have just implemented it and are fresh, if you like, to the ALLOut security solution. And then there's those that are potentially looking at a security solution. So I think today is really a great refresher for the folks that have perhaps had it for a while. The ones that have recently implemented, they'll definitely see some new things. And for the folks that are perhaps new to the solution, you'll see the power and the ease of use of the actual application. So hopefully it just gives you a little bit of a background. We will be demonstrating content today, so it's not all just slides, but let's jump into it, Stephanos.
Great. And that brings us on to this next slide nicely, actually, as we talk about customers.
Yeah, so just to put this in context, so globally, more than 500 customers that are using the solutions that we're showcasing today, but I wanted to put a local feel on the install base across ANZ, and this is by no means everyone that is using the solution in one way, shape or form. It gives you an appreciation for the types of organizations from ASX 20 or New Zealand 20 based organizations through to small to medium operators. So the solution scales to all industries, all corporation sizes. And we have some of the most security intensive organizations running the solutions that you're seeing today. So in terms of audit, in terms of security compliance, we've passed the most onerous tests. By way of example, we've got banks in South Africa and in North America running JDE and running the solutions that we're presenting today. You can imagine some of the specifics around that, including airline logistics companies, etc. So I suppose the takeaway here is that you're in good company, and this is not a new solution. It's been widely adopted in ANZ, but this is serving as a bit of a refresher for the application for many of those on the call. Thanks, Steph.
Great. Thank you, Dan. And then as we talk a little bit about Steltix and ALLOut, it's obviously quite useful for you to know why you would choose to partner with both of us as organizations. So with Steltix and ALLOut, you effectively get 95% ROI as you use ALLOut's Oracle validated integration. That can be installed and deployed in just a few hours. You get expert training, so that can be delivered in two different methods. Obviously, from Steltix, you can get that local training. And with ALLOut, we've got an academy, which is an on-demand e-learning platform. So that's a great way to empower your team as well. You've also got 24/7 resources with Steltix managed services. So that model allows you to adopt the solution much faster into your organization with support of Steltix expertise. And we've also got a continuous innovation model, which means that ALLOut is constantly tested against Oracle's latest releases, and that we work with all the latest functionality within JD Edwards. So that's delivered through ALLOut software, through our development, and that is enabled through Steltix's upgrade support and managed services once again. So all in all, we give you peace of mind knowing that you have the best security solutions in place to defend JD Edwards. So hopefully you'll leave here today thinking, yeah, you've fortified your JD Edwards with these strategies. Great. So moving on to how we can help. So let's start today's session off by asking you, our audience, a question. How can we help you? So you can use the question box if you want to put some answers into that, and we'll have a look at them later on. So when it comes to JD Edwards security, you're all bound to have some pain points. So right now, I can imagine you or your team have a sort of list, right, which we call the needed list here at ALLOut, and I can imagine there are various challenges on there that you're looking to overcome. Now, do any of these resonate with you? So right now it's a list, right? So I expect you've got a list. It might not look exactly the same as this, but yeah, so you definitely should have some challenges in there, whether you're a customer or not. Definitely some challenges in there that we can support you with. So let's now transform your needed list into a selection of solutions for you to choose from based on your requirements. So what does that look like? So ALLOut provides 7 different solutions with multiple features available depending on your needs. So here you can use this matrix to identify what your current business needs are in relation to the available solutions. For example, many of our customers will start with assessing their existing security setup, so you may be interested in our access reporting solution features. Of course, you don't have to choose every single feature. So today, we'll be looking at how ALLOut can help you with your program and menu access reporting, your security auditing, your Oracle licensing, your security access maintenance, your role-based access controls. We'll throw in a little bit of SOD management at the end, and of course, the all-important SOD auditing. Now, as you can see there, I've only highlighted a few key features that we'll be showing you today, but there are tons of features. If you do want to learn more about all these features that are available within ALLOut Security, please reach out to either myself or Daniel, and we will be able to sort you out with a demo or some training for that. And proof is in the pudding, right?
So just, it's always nice to give a practical example, and it still boggles my mind how many clients we go to and they have challenges or struggles with the JDE environment where they've been using it for 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, particularly around security. So this is not an atypical scenario. So a recent go live for an organization here in Australia, a logistics provider, sort of circa 300 JDE users. Some of the things that they had before were that security, and I think some of these are ring true with folks on the call, particularly if you haven't implemented the solution. So hundreds of roles defined, 50 individuals in the organizations or users with system admin roles, inconsistent menus, no ability to look at segregation of duties. So looking at activities which should be mutually exclusive in any finance system. So the ability to raise a purchase order, receive a purchase order, approve a purchase order, pay a payables invoice, etc. They're things you want to know that no one has the ability in your organization to do. And if they do, it's for very limited use cases and it's been signed off by management. Typically, this organization copied one user's security to another as they got new people. They had lots of redundant user security profiles, which can cause issues when it comes to license compliance, etc. They had no view on what they were consuming versus what they're actually entitled to from an Oracle license perspective. And they had users with access to sensitive applications. So potentially things like changing people's bank account details, entering transactions that could potentially be fraudulent. And come audit time, come that dreadful time once a year where they had to prove to the auditors who had access to what. That was A, onerous in terms of generating the required information, and B, problematic because there was lots of audit issues that were identified. They had things like OneView, which was activated for all users, which is licensing gotcha if you're not licensed for that particular module, and no formal onboarding, offboarding process. So that wasn't all the issues, but it gives you just a bit of a feel for a typical customer who hasn't been through what we would refer to as aligning to best practice in terms of the security model. So we helped this organization implement ALLOut Security, a reasonably rapid installation to deploy the tool. As Stefanos said, build, promote, deploy to non-production environments is there pretty much straight away. We're able to align to best practice security models, so consolidate the number of roles introduced the concept of parent-child roles to really give the granularity that's required, but then the visibility of what actually individuals have access to. We helped rebuild the security models mappings with some IP in terms of what a typical finance user, supplier user, asset user would have access to do. Removed the system admin roles, implemented the segregation of duty matrix, so another piece of IP that comes with a solution as an option, which is these roles and applications are mutually exclusive. You can inject that into the application and report on it immediately. That tells you if there are any breaches from an SOD perspective. And this organization has used the enhanced maintenance features within ALLOut Security. So instead of using the traditional security workbench, use role provisioning, they use the ALLOut Security equivalents, which are a lot easier and a lot more powerful to maintain it. And they claim that that saves them 80% of the time in terms of the maintenance of the actual application. And that meant that they were able to pass the audit smoothly, well, as best you can with any audit, because they're always fun. But the flip side of where they were and where they came to, I thought it was just useful to highlight, and hopefully that resonates with people in terms of either they've been through that journey, they've lived it, or they're living the left-hand side, which is the current state. So thanks, Steph.
Great. And we'll be showing a lot of the stuff that Daniel's just talked about today as well. So if you are interested in some of that functionality, you should get a quick whistle-stop tour of that today as well. Great. Okay, so we're moving on to Fortifying JD Edwards now. So let's have a look at your security risk essentials, and we're going to start really looking at from the outside in. So Daniel, do you want to take us away with Steltic's transparent logon?
Sure. So one of the reasons we partner with ALLOut is that we have a complementary solution offering, which is what we think is the best-in-class MFA SSO solution, which we call TLX10, so transparent logon. What this enables, and we're talking in the context or in the analogy here, is if we talk about fortifying your environment, not letting anyone through the front door, and the front door being able to log on fraudulently to your JDE environment. So we introduced the concept of multi-factor authentication, which brings with it things like SSO for JD Edwards, as well as associated applications. If you're running reports now, you can also provide SSO MFA functionality for that. Unlike some other solutions out there in the marketplace, we also manage the AIS server, which is the integration layer from a JD Edwards perspective, and can sit across Orchestrator as well as mobile applications that we have. We support deep links. I'll show you some examples of that in the demonstration shortly. And we can automate the onboarding and offboarding process. So as soon as someone is disconnected from Office 365 or your main domain controller, they are unable to access your core system record being JDE. And through some of the APIs that we provide, we've helped organization automate the removal of that security profile within JDE to clean up and remove the potential bloating of user IDs within JDE. Conversely, on the onboarding side, we've got APIs to automate the provisioning of users in JDE if you're using a ticketing system as well. And a lot of audit capability, who's logged on, when they've logged on, etc. So that's the solution. I'm going to take you through a little demonstration of what that looks like and some of the benefits in terms of ease of use. We support a wide range of authentication options. So this is not just Office, it could be Okta, it could be Fortinet. There's a broad range of what it looks like with MFA in place. So if we just jump into the first demonstration, I'll take people through what we're going to see. So I'm going to see what it looks like in the life of a user once the solution is implemented. So pass-through authentication to JDE, not having to worry about username, password once you've authenticated for the first time. I'll then reverse back and show you what the MFA experience is like using Azure or Entra AD. I'll then show you some use cases in terms of how and what it means to the end user in terms of being able to jump directly into the application and show you some of the user experience from deep links. So firstly, what we're going to show you, this is the end result. So no more having to sign on to JDE once you've authenticated through the MFA. I'm starting with the end in mind. So all the user has to do to access JDE is double click on the icon on your intranet, or whatever the case may be, and it takes them directly into JDE. So if you don't have an SSO MFA solution in place, you imagine how many times individuals are signing on during the day, having to authenticate using either the JDE username password or their Windows account, depending on what you've got set up. That's a real time saver when you've got management users doing this over and over. If I just back up a little bit and I'll show you what it looks like to trigger an MFA request or authentication request. I'm going to go into incognito mode here, just so I can basically trigger the MFA process. It knows that I haven't authenticated for this particular session, so it's going to ask me to authenticate against my OAuth provider. In this case, it's Office 365 or Entra. It's asking me to provide my MFA details, so not standard JDE. In this instance, it's asking me to confirm via an SMS to JDE. We also have the ability to use things like the Okta Authentication app or the Office 365 Authentication app, which we'll show you an example of. Once I've signed in, done that, then I'm good to come back and forth into JDE for the life of the session, which is a configuration option that we have. This is an example of the type of MFAs. You might have the text message, which I just showed in that demonstration there, or you might have the native authenticator app, which everyone's familiar to in terms of the process of MFA across your broad range of applications. So what does this mean to a customer service rep? All they have to do to access potentially a sales order entry screen is double click on a shortcut and they're straight in. So we have lots of users that all they do all day, every day is enter sales orders, enter work orders, receipt purchase orders. So we can set up shortcuts. They can get directly into the application using a combination of our solution with some parameterized URLs, and it removes a lot of the navigation and I suppose bloated navigation that comes with sometimes interacting with JDE. Finally, if you've got workflows, classic example, purchase order approval, any sort of approval process. In this example, we're just using or showcasing a notification. So in this instance, a piece of plant has sent an email notifying a user that something requires action. From here, we're able to quickly drill into the work order link, and that'll take us directly into the application. So it's just showing the notification details that's been automated from JDE. This is a workflow that's come from the system automatically, giving me some details about it. In this instance, it's actually taking me through to that particular work order. So it's not an entry screen, but it's taking me through to the work order. So again, by cutting down the navigation process and the authentication process. Thank you. There has been a couple of questions that have popped up, Steph, for your benefit. We will show some of them around the license. There's a few questions about the licensing reports in JDE, but we'll cover off content and we can cover them off at the end.
That's great, and that is the next section. So yeah, great. Yeah, so that was good, Dan. So yeah, I think definitely if you are an ALLOut customer and you've not got StelTix transparent logon, I think it would be highly beneficial for you to have that as well. The two solutions really do complement each other, and vice versa. If you've got transparent logon, why not consider ALLOut security, right? So looking at ALLOut security, so I talked a little bit at the beginning there about it being split into 4 segments, right? So what you can see here is effectively the menu screen. So there are 4 segments here we're going to go through today, and the first one we're going to look at is the access reporting and auditing. So in here you'll find everything from segregation of duties to your user access and audit reports to your Oracle licensing reports, which is where we'll be starting off. So before we dive into security, let's take a look at the auditing of JDE usage in preparation for an Oracle audit. So if you are selected by Oracle for an audit, their proprietary analytical software will be installed on your system to compare actual usage to your Oracle licensing contract. So their goal in doing an audit will be to identify sites that are under licensed and provide effectively new revenue opportunities for Oracle. Pre-auditing on your part will enable you to identify and manage over usage proactively. And in addition, it will enable you to know if you are over licensed and paying for licenses that are really not needed. So ALLOut has some tools that enable you to look at usage from 3 different perspectives. And that's what we're going to quickly look at now. So the first method, you can use what we call critical lists and access reporting to determine usage based on security permissions. So we have a tool that I think Dan might have alluded to at the beginning there called SOD Master, and that offers you an out-of-the-box licensing list that can be uploaded to JDE. So we've identified the actual programs that you need to consider for you, right? Otherwise, you can, of course, use the interactive screens to build your own list. That's not a problem. That's available within the software as well. And then effectively, once you've got the licensing list in, you run a report on who has access to those programs. So let's have a look at the report. So you can use the detail layout to see exactly who has access to what. So this one in particular tells us the access for this particular user. One of the areas they have access to, as I've highlighted there, is to accounts payable. And you can see that as they've got access to standard voucher entry. The second method you can use to review your licensing is the access reports. Is the inquiry screens. So as we looked at the access report, that shows us what a user can actually do. Inquiring on system usage actually tells us what they have done in the past, right? So if we use that inquire on system usage screen here, we can see who has created or changed records in some of the key JDE tables, right? Side-by-side view, simple to see. And of course, the table list can be customized here. Again, you can upload the licensing table list. The third method, along with the user's transactional footprint, the system usage inquiry showed each user's last login date. If you're looking for a little bit more information on user login activity, that can be discovered by reporting active and inactive users. Now, that's a particularly useful tool that we have for driving down licensing costs, because if you've got a bunch of inactive users in the system, there is no need to have them provisioned as part of your Oracle licensing, right? So the report can be run over a specific date range or based on any recent activity. You can run those filters in the report before you run it. And in the example output, you can see that all users are listed, and you can see on the right-hand side there, their login activity, which helps you identify wasted licenses. And that was really it for Oracle licensing. So yeah, if you do have any questions about that, please do ask. And we've got some great courses as well as part of the ALLOut Academy, which can aid you with your Oracle licensing audit. So moving on to access reporting now. We talked very briefly about access reporting in the Oracle licensing section, but now let's take a look at some more of those features. So the questions around user and program access are never ending. And ALLOut Access Reporting has the answers to all of that for you with totally out-of-the-box reports. So let's begin with a program security access report, which is part of our risk reporting module for those of you that are customers. We can report on users or roles along with various other filtering options and output to either PDF or CSV. So this report in particular will focus on program access, meaning application security and action code. So you might use it to get a report of every user and every program each user can run, or you might choose to target a particular selection of users, programs, or level of access. Again, it's totally configurable depending on your needs. The program access report gives you a lot of flexibility as well over the final layout and the level of detail shown. So just before we submit that report, you can see those options there. And then once you've submitted the report here provides detailed access by user, including application and action code security. But it could just as easily have provided a side-by-side comparison of multiple users if that's what you wanted to look at. So if you went back to the configuration options there, you could have changed that and changed the layout of this. But in this case, we're just looking at the user TKJ01. The second reporting option we have for access reports is around your F00950 and UDO security. So this one is part of our Combi Roles module, and it enables you to look at all the assigned security records as well as the net effect of those security records in your system. That includes all your standard security types as well as UDO security. So we support UDO security as well. Again, you can use the toggle all button to select all types at once if you want to report on all of those, or you could choose a particular category to reveal individual security types and select them one at a time. So again, a really configurable solution there for your reporting needs. And again, in the sample output, let's have a look at that. So we can see all the program security for a user. And most interestingly here, if you're using multiple roles, which you probably are, you can also see potential sequencer conflicts flagged. So you can see there the column sequence conflict has a C next to it, and that shows us that potentially this user will struggle to log in because they've got a sequencer issue. The second page of the report, so there's a few different pages because I set the configuration options up for this one in such way, but here you can also see E1 page access for that user. So as I said to you, we do include UDOs. And on the next page of the report, you can see Cafe One layout security. So again, if you're trying to give users access to your E1 pages, this is a really useful report so that you can understand what they can actually see. Great, so we've looked at access, we've looked at 950 and UDO security. Next, third and final option here, we're going to look at menu access with security. So I appreciate not everyone will be using menu filtering within JD Edwards, but this one is part of our Menu Plus module. And it does enable you to see the effects of security, task views, and menu filtering all in one screen. Very, very useful if you are using menu filtering. So the primary focus of this report is not going to be security. It is going to be menu access. So the security is secondary. And you will find options to target a particular task view and to show called programs. In addition, you can filter by program and level of access if you choose to. And you can choose again which types of security to show, which is quite useful. So let's look at the final report. So the final report will be in task view order, and it shows you both task information and security. So if you are trying to get a better understanding of what a user can see and do, or if you're trying to enhance user experience, for example, this is a key starting point. The reason we say user experience here is because why show someone a menu item that they don't have access to use in the first place, right? It's just going to bloat your entire user experience, and it's not necessary. So that's the reports that we've showed you. So let's quickly recap. One thing I don't have on here is the licensing report, but I showed you that at the beginning. So there's a few different methods. There was 3 different ways of achieving your Oracle licensing report there. The next one that we looked at was the program access report, which gives you an overview of user access. The second one was the F00950 and UDO security report, which extends your reporting capabilities to include all security types, and it also flags sequencer conflicts for you. And the last one that I showed you there was the menu access report. All of these reports are out of the box. You install and deploy ALLOut within a few hours, and you can be running these reports straight away. So they're really, really useful starting point if you are a customer. And if you're not a customer, we can offer you a trial of the software as well through Steltix. So you can actually run some of these reports and install them on your system. So you can get a quick risk assessment as well, which is great. Okay, so let's turn our attention to audit requirements you may have. Now, we've looked at access reporting, but we haven't looked at who's changing things in your system, right? So the F9312 security audit table can be used to record audit data related to the changes. Let's see how you can use ALLOut to increase the available audit data and transform this data into information and insight. So once again, we're jumping into the software here. We can report on JD security data changes through ALLOut. We can report on ALLOut compliance data changes. So that is if you are using SOD rules and mitigating controls and you don't want people changing those, you can track the changes that are being made to that data, which is really useful. And we can also inquire interactively on security and compliance changes, review those changes, or even see a graphical overview of those changes. So let's have a very quick look at what some of that looks like. We're going to start with the reporting options here. So whether you're reporting on changes to your JD security data, such as user profile, or ALLOut compliance data, such as your SOD rules, as I mentioned previously, process is exactly the same for you. So we'll start by effectively selecting a type of change to be reported. So up here, you can just see all the different types of changes that we can report against. Then you can choose specific events. So whether they added, whether they enabled, what they changed. And then the specific events or action codes of interest. Once you've done that, you can check the layout filters and then click submit the report. And let's have a look at the report. So the first page will define all your reporting parameters, right? So you can see exactly what you've configured here. The second page defines the ALLOut event codes. So you can see here exactly what particular things we're tracking changes to. And then let's reveal the changes. So this report looks at changes that have been made to the user ALLOut2. So if you look at it, we can really see here that the user definition has changed, the password changed, and roles were added. But that all happened at the same time, right? So if I was an auditor, I'd want to know why your admin has made those changes all at exactly the same time for that user. That's definitely something that an auditor will pick up on there. And as we've done this for one user, you could obviously do it side by side as well, if you choose to. As mentioned, you can also work with the F9312 records interactively, which is a new feature for ALLOut. So let's look at what that looks like. So here, you can inquire on system changes. You can use the inquire on system changes screen to provide a way to view and query those changes interactively, right? So rather than using static reports. And there's another screen called review alerted system changes. What that allows you to do is really take it a step further by providing a way to interactively review and flag changes. So we're now taking your audit well beyond the spreadsheets, well beyond the static reporting, and this feature and functionality is available in ALLOut version 4.2 and ahead, right? So this is brand new, hot off the press. You can also generate an overview of your system changes, which gives you this graphical representation of security and compliance data changes. And if you choose to, you could add this to an E1 page, and you could have that, you know, for your CFOs, for your finance folks, just to be able to see exactly what is changing within the system. Great. So moving quickly into SOD management now. So SOD management is a key area, and ALLOut enables you to document the mitigating controls directly in your system. So the SOD reporting process will be far more efficient and effective. So let's go straight into the definitions and assignments. We'll start here with the control definitions. So the grid layout, as you can see, we've looked at a lot of grid layouts today, but ALLOut is really laid out like that. So it's nice and simple. The grid layout allows you to easily enter the controls one by one, or you can upload them again from the ALLOut SOD master that we talked about. Once you've got your rules in place, you'll associate those controls with the SOD rules they mitigate, right? And those controls can then be included when the rules are initially created, or they can be added later. So here you can see that we've got those rules added in. And once you've got all your rules and your definitions in place, the next bit is really easy. You're now going to basically start using the reports. So let's run some of these segregation of duties reports. Again, super simple interactive interface here. You've got lots of configuration options. And the report itself has allowed me to show what mitigating controls I'm filtering on. And for this report, I chose to print the mitigating controls, but there are other choices as well, including the option to hide mitigated breaches. That's just a basic static report. Now, let's have a look at what does that look like interactively. Again, so we've moved beyond standard reporting now in ALLOut. Again, this is a new feature. So if you want to take your SOD management to the next level, you can use our SOD and critical access audit, alert, and review feature. So this offers you line-by-line review of your conflicts, visibility into those compliance KPIs over time. Everything is inside standard JD Edwards, so there's no additional tables that need to be installed or configured. You've got optional UDO alert integration, which allows you to use watch lists if you are licensed for watch lists. And let's look at what that looks like. So here we've got 3 screens: inquire on SOD breaches, review SOD breaches, and take an overview of SOD breaches. As the name suggests, the inquiry screen provides just a simple read-only view of your SOD breaches. So as opposed to having the static report, you can have it interactively right in the system. The review screen takes it a little bit further by enabling online review status line by line. So with both screens, we can filter interactively, drill down to see security and mitigation information, and you can incorporate all of this in queries, watch lists, and alert UDOs. So it all works with the latest Oracle functionality. And the overview screen here enables us to quickly and easily see the information in a graphical format. Again, you can add this to your E1 page if you choose to. Okay, so quick recap of reporting. So we've got access reporting we've walked through. We've walked through our compliance auditing with our F9312. We've walked through our SOD management. Again, really great, great tools there. You can use those as reports statically or with our interactive screens, and the same goes for the compliance auditing. So the next thing we're going to look at is security management. This is not going to be a big section as we are constrained for time. So the next few sections will be running through very few parts of the functionality, but hopefully you get some key takeaways from this as well. So these tools are primarily, as Dan said, to expedite security maintenance. So this is one of the key things that our customer case study was talking about, which gives you more efficient use of the system. So let's jump right into that. So if you've been searching for a better way to manage JDE security, these are the tools for you. We offer different tools here. So whether you're maintaining F00950 security, UDO security, menu filtering, role assignments, any of those, we provide a more intuitive interface for you to do that. So far more efficient maintenance. And you get your added auditing capabilities as well, which we'll show you too. So let's have a quick look at the security supergrid. So if you're an ALLOut customer, you'll be super familiar with that concept. The security supergrid looks exactly like this. It's an intuitive grid format, provides a way to work with all your security types, including UDO security, on exactly the same screen. Totally different to standard JDE here. You start by selecting a security category that includes both standard 950 and 950W UDO security categories, right? So you can work with both. You can select specific security types. And of course, you can filter those as needed and make any changes on the grid, which will take immediate effect, right? If you do want to control those changes, we'll show you how to do that in a little sec. Next, let's take a look at the three-way match program. So if you've already used the security supergrid, you may also be familiar with the program that allows you to see menu filtering and 950 records on the same screen. So this allows you to work with folders and programs organized in a task view order, and you can work with those for up to 20 roles at a time. So that allows you to align your menu filtering with your security, all again within the same grid. And finally, let's look at role assignments. So these are, this is where we start to get into ALLOut more as a control solution. So you can obviously do if we take role assignments at face level to begin with, you start with a quick portal here. Looks very similar to what JD Edwards has, and allows you to basically move roles to different people and assign them. We've also got a grid format that allows you to do that if you choose to work with the grids and you prefer it. You still have the exact same filtering options there, plus the QBE line. There are also options to hide or move columns around depending on what you want to do. And again, the key thing here is that you're making updates directly to the grid, so they're taking immediate effect, right? But let's think a little bit here about the next step to this, which is really controlling those changes. So in the security maintenance section of ALLOut, what we're doing is speeding up the way that you are inputting records, right? So we've looked at how you can speed up your 950, your UDO, your menu filtering, and your role assignments, okay? Now let's think about how we can control those changes. So the third part here is JDE access change management. So we'll be focusing on using role-based access controls to effectively stop people assigning roles to people that shouldn't have those roles, right? So what can ALLOut do for you? Effectively, we can empower IT or business owners to manage those assignments more efficiently using the portal that I just showed you, which is really cool. So I'll show you a bit more of that now as we set up restrictions to prevent role assignments, introducing those predefined risks into your system. So let's see what a controlled assignment looks like now within the system. Okay, so we're going to assign the role O1 proc to the user TKJ06. So here we can see the relationship being created, and we could add more information depending on our defined processes. Once confirming that, though, we see an assignment error. So here we're revealing that there are role recipient controls in place and that the assigning user is not on the approver list. So unfortunately, the only reason here is to cancel, right? There is no other option here for us. But what would happen if an authorized approver attempted the same assignment? Well, instead of the error, you see a warning, and the assignment can either be completed or cancelled. Once you've completed the assignment, it moves over to the left column, right? Super intuitive portal. The second example that I've got for you introduces segregation of duties, preventative controls, right? So here, let's say we're going to assign O4 voucher entry to user TKJ05. Again, with every assignment, the screen is shown to confirm, but this time we see that there is SOD controls in place, preventing the assignment from taking place. And there is a list of approvers who could potentially complete the assignment and override the system. But in this case, I'm not on the list of approvers, so I have to cancel here. I have to ask the approver to complete the assignment. And in this case, say now I'm the approver. I click through. Of course, the restriction still exists, but the assignment can now be completed or cancelled because I'm on the approver list, right? That's just very quickly showing you some of that information.
Hey, Steph, we're just on time now, just by the way.
Okay, great. So we're at the last section now. So access change management, again, just to recap on that, we show you role-based assignment restrictions and role-based preventative SOD controls. There are so many more features and functionality available within that solution that we can use to control a lot of that. And Dan, I need 2 more minutes just to walk through very quickly the last section, which I'm not going to take you through a demo of this, but I'll just show you what options are available to you. So the fourth part of the ALLOut solution is around JDE upgrading and project tools. So here you can find tools to achieve specific objectives such as mass JDE updates and security projects rather than ongoing daily maintenance. So we won't be going into full demo, as I said, of this, but I just want to show you what's available here. So it's split into 4 tabs. The first is system restructuring. So this allows you to go through a JDE upgrade or a conversion if you're going through that. The tab includes tools for data cleanup, JDE version management, role management, upgrades, conversions. There's lots of mass update tools in there for system restructuring. The second one there shows you security restructuring. So that's tools for cleanup, right? We talked about Oracle licensing at the beginning. This is a really useful tool set if you want to clean up some of your inactive users. You've also got upload tools to allow you to push in large volumes of data if you're working with security outside of JD Edwards, or you want to change those 950 records. Lastly, actually, we've got the menu restructuring tab, and that says what it does on the tin, allows you to create those menu filters and synchronize your F00950 security. We've got some really cool UBEs in here which do it automatically for you when you're redesigning your task views. We always add new JDE modules as well, so you'll get that if you purchase the SOD master from ALLOut too. So last bit of recap here. Again, we have system restructuring tools, we have security restructuring tools, and we have menu restructuring tools.
So Steph, Joy from Viva asked a question. It's a good question. I know it's quite topical in terms of the
Yes.
mapping between JDE modules and the Oracle JDE license SKUs. I can't
Yep.
share a screenshot, but in that Q&A, I've just put a screenshot. Can you possibly just open that up and
Let
share
me
that? The
do
short
it.
answer, Joy, and anyone else who's interested in, yes, we have the IP that maps the JDE system code, so O4 for accounts payable, O9 for GL, 12 for fixed assets, etc., to the associated Oracle license SKU, and that example will mean financial management. We load that into that critical list, and we can actually automatically spit out not just the system code usage, but the map of that to the associated Oracle JDE SKU. And I was just going to show a quick screenshot. I couldn't paste it into the chat just to show that mapping. That's part of the services that's loaded into the actual application when we do that particular audit. So if it's not straightforward.
I am having trouble showing it, I'm
No,
afraid.
we'll share. I've got Joey's email address. That's fine. Anyone else interested in that, I can share a snippet of that with you as well. So, and the last thing, I think we just need to touch on the Academy, which is an amazing tool for organizations that have all that
Yep.
security in terms of, if we can just briefly show that.
Yes. So here we go. So the ALLOut Academy, as Dan alluded to there, is a great learning solution now. It's fairly new. If you've not seen it before, we've had it for about 2 years now, but a lot of customers are still trying to purchase the license to it. It is totally on demand, all the training material that you could ever want, available to you 365 days a year, no matter what time zone you're in, 24/7. We've got great tutorials in there. It comes with all the downloadable tutorials. It comes with a selection of videos that walk you through some of the screens, similar to what I did with you today, but in much more detail. I highly encourage you to take one of our certifications if you haven't as well. So if you want to become a audit and compliance certified ALLOut expert, you can do that now with us. And in addition to that, we always update it and add the latest functionality that we're adding to the software. We add classes to the Academy as well. So it's a really useful tool for that constant. I know a lot of you have new staff, you have new people joining all the time. This is a really useful tool to help people get up to speed very quickly. Yeah. Any more
Okay, there's
questions
a
from
couple
the
of questions that
Q&A?
have come through. We may or may not be able to answer these ones. So, Joy, what release is that available? And that's any release of JDE, that mapping. I'll send you an example of that, and we can certainly help you with that. Malcolm, I know you answered a similar question, which I've just answered as well. So I'll share your copy of that with you as well. Some of these are coming through as anonymous, so apologies, but and don't want to put you on the spot, Steph, but does ALLOut handle security type S has come through as a question?
I believe we do, yep. So we handle all security types. So anything that is within JD Edwards in standard tables, we will handle that security, yes.
Okay. And the other question is more, and it was asked at the origin, if we have more than one data source assigned to a user, why does ALLOut licensing so screen show this has two instead of one user? We might have to get back on that one. That shouldn't be the
Yeah,
case.
I think yeah, we might need to get back on that one. Yeah, I mean it depends again. I'm not sure I understand the question there, but yeah, if you submitted that anonymously, please do email us so we can know who you are and we can support you with that.
Yeah. All right. We have a couple of minutes left if there are any other questions. So hopefully you found that useful. Definitely a bit of a refresher on all that. It is an extremely powerful, but albeit manageable tool. So I encourage everyone, if you haven't looked at the Academy, to get onto the Academy because it's a great refresher. We've recently expanded our partnership into Asia Pacific Steltic, so we've got a lot more capability in the region to help with training and to help with implementation projects and upgrades. So hopefully that's good news to the audience as well.
And also, I think another key thing for me to mention today is that I tried to kind of put all the ALLOut functionality, all the key bits into a very quick run through of the software, but that is not extensive. There are so many more features available to you. The key thing that I think sets ALLOut apart from other solutions on the market is really the fact that you get all those options, right? So we're giving you much more than just a control solution or much more than just an expedited security maintenance solution. You get effectively a 360-degree GRC solution with ALLOut that you can implement very, very simply. And as Dan said, we've expanded into the Asia Pacific region now with Celtic. So you've got that knowledgeable consulting support there as well if you don't want to do that work in-house. But either way, I think there's great benefit in the product for you. And as we've seen there earlier on with that customer case study as well, I thought that was really useful. Proof is in the pudding. Proof is in the pudding, really.
All
Great.
right, conscious of the time. Thank you for attendance. There are a couple of questions I'll come through and follow up. But thank you, Steph, for participating and inviting Celtics to go in the session. I've had some good feedback as we've gone. So thank you everyone for participating. Obviously, any follow-up questions, myself, Daniel here locally, or Steph at ALLOut, will happily cover off those questions. So thanks everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for your time, everyone. Good to see you. And thanks for hosting us. Yeah. Thank you very much.
See ya.